Hello, welcome to the Craft House Magic Setter tutorials. Today I'm going to give you a really brief summary of the things you'll need to do bobbin lace. So first thing you'll need is a cushion. So the main style I recommend to start with is one of these domed ones. So this is a vintage one, and this has got straw inside, and it's a very firm, very heavy cushion. But you can get very lightweight polystyrene ones, which if you're going to go to a group, it's much lighter to carry these. The one I do use most of the time, which has got a blue cover, which has got a Bobbin Lace project on, is one with straw inside, but it's for some reason it's not quite as heavy as this one. This is really heavy. So I'd recommend one that is as less domed as possible. This is quite a domed one. Because if you're doing slightly larger pieces, you'll end up with the shape of the bobbin lace curving to the pattern of the top of your dome. There are other styles of bobbin lace cushion. You can get ones with a roller in the centre, so if you're doing a very long piece of decorative lace that perhaps go on the edge of something, it keeps rolling around the roller. And you can also get ones which have 9 blocks which you can move around. I've never used one of those. I tend to use the domed ones because I've only really done sort of relatively small pieces. So you can get different sizes of bobbin lace cushion in terms of the domed ones. Like this, I tend to go for an 18 or a 20-inch one, just to give you plenty of space, and then it's easy to rest it on your knee. So that's the information about the cushions. Now, you might not want to go out and purchase a bobbin lace cushion like this. The ones with the straw in are quite expensive, but these ones with polystyrene are slightly cheaper. But you can make your own, really. You can, in theory, get a piece of polystyrene and just cover it with fabric and then use that as a bobbin lace cushion, and it can be a flapped piece of polystyrene as well, just as long as your pins stay stiff in the polystyrene when you put your pin in, so it needs to be quite a dense polystyrene. So there we go. You'll also need bobbins. So there are lots of different styles of bobbins. The main ones I use have the beads on the end. So my favourites are the sort of wooden carved ones that you can get. And you quite often will buy the wooden bobbin and then you put these beads on yourself. And these are called spangles. So I do, like I said, I do tend to use the ones with the beads on the most. There are different styles of bobbin lace and they tend to have different bobbins for them. So you can get ones like this where there's nowhere to put beads on the end. It's just a sort of bulbous end. And I do have some of those, but I do tend to favourite the ones with the little beads on the end. You can get ones that are painted. There's some lovely flowers on this one. But I've also got ones with Daleks on for random reasons. I don't know if you can really see that on there. It's quite a dark picture. They do plastic ones in starter kits like this one. And I've replaced the beads with slightly posher ones that came with the kit when I had those. And then they do slightly more expensive plastic ones, and I've got a rather pretty one I picked up from a show. And then they do commemorative ones. So this one here has got a daisy on that side, and then it shows the date of a show that I went to. So that was rather lovely to pick that up. All these have got leftover threads on from my actual bobbin lace projects. But you can see there are lots of different types of bobbins you can get. I'd suggest starting with perhaps getting some plastic ones and see if you like it. I have seen online people using pegs to begin with, but I'm not sure whether they work as well. I've never tried it, but if you haven't got any money to buy any new things, you could get away with using a piece of polystyrene, some pins, and using pegs to wrap the yarn around. You also tend to use a pattern. Now I had a pattern here, so this one is a pattern I've purchased from Sandra Springett, and I'll pop a link down below to her website where you can get these patterns. So you get a paper template of where your dots are going to be, where your pins are going to be put. This is a Christmas decoration. And then I've mounted it on some manila cardboard, which is relatively flexible. And you can get these from Bobbin Lace supply companies, and I will put a list down below where you can get them from. And on the top I've put some blue sticky back plastic, so it comes in reels like this, and the backing paper's got lines on so you can cut it accurately, and then you stick the sticky back plastic over the top of the white template that's just printed on paper, and then you can prick out the little holes so that they're ready, so that when you've got them on your bobbin lace cushion you can pop the pins in quite easily. So to do so, I have a pricking tool. So I happen to have a nice pretty wooden one with a pin that's been glued in the end, and I've bent mine, look. And I, just to make sure that I don't sort of prick the table or my fingers, I use a piece of cork just behind the cardboard as I'm pricking the holes, just so that I don't make a mess of the table or whatever. I happen to have it's actually a doormat that I picked up, but you can buy tiles to go on the kitchen wall from I've seen them in the range if you're in the UK. They tend to do tiles that you can use in place of this. I think that this, as it's a doormat, it's actually a bit thick. You don't need it to be quite this thick. So there we are. So you need your bobbins, your bobbin lace cushion, your pricking, but then you'll need some pins. So the pins that I use for bobbin lace are these. They are slightly thinner than normal pins, and these particular ones are quite long. They're not all that long, bobbin lace pins. To start with, I don't see why you can't just use regular pins, as long as they're they haven't got big heads on. They're just standard metal head pins. You can use any sort of pins really, but if you're doing finer work, these finer pins make smaller holes so that you end up with a finer piece of work. So if you do get to do finer pieces, you'll definitely need to purchase some slightly finer pins. And of course I've just made myself a little pin cushion to pop on my bobbin lace cushion so that I can just grab my pins straight out of the cushion, but you can use them straight out of the tin. It really doesn't matter. So there are quite a few bobbin lace suppliers in the UK. One of my favourite ones is Rosegroung, but there are a number of others which I can't think off the top of my head. But I will pop links to all those places in the list down below. And there are also some books that I'd recommend as well. So I would definitely recommend this book, Beginner's Guide to Bobbin Lace, and I'll pop a link down in the down bar down below so you can find that. I picked mine up from Amazon when I first started, and I just find that really useful. There's point by point explanations of how to do it, and it's basically full of bookmarks really, just to get you started. And I think a bookmark is a nice small piece to make you feel like you've achieved something. So on the next instalment of the bobbin lace tutorials, I'll be showing you how to do the 2 basic stitches, whole stitch and half stitch.